BlackBerry has just announced that it is teaming up with consultancy Giuliani Partners. BlackBerry was selected to provide the software platform for Giuliani Partners' cybersecurity consulting services. For more now, we want to bring in BlackBerry CEO John Chen, as well as Rudy Giuliani, Chairman and CEO of Giuliani Partners. They both join us from the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Mr. Mayor, let me start with you. Give us a sense first of what customers will Giuliani Partners be pushing this new BlackBerry software to? Would it be corporates? Would it be government clients? Would it be individuals?
Well, all of the above, particular emphasis on corporate and government. In the case of individuals, of course, we would be helpful, but mostly this is for large-scale cybersecurity problems, and BlackBerry from the very beginning has had just about the very best and most secure software. They've now become a software company, and they're the very best at being able to analyze problems and then supply the solutions to the problems. And then we also have, within Giuliani Partners, we've been doing security for 16 years with corporations and with countries on every continent. Over the last 4 or 5 years, many of our clients are seeking better software solutions, and I have a passion for this. I want us to create the best software solution that's available, and I think it'll only come out of the private sector.
Well, let me ask you this, John Chen. We don't know the dollar amount of this deal. If you could give us a sense of whether this will be material for BlackBerry's bottom line.
Well, from a longer term, it will be. Obviously, this always takes time. The good news is, I think it's a pretty good melding of a gelling of what we both offer, and they offer a really good consultancy, a very, very rich client base across the world. We offer the best secure solution. So I think this will be a long-term relationship, and it's going to take a while. I always tell people it's going to take a while.
It will take a while, and I wonder, John, whether working closely with Rudy Giuliani and his firm, and of course, Mr. Giuliani was a key Trump ally during the campaign, does that give you access to the new administration and potential government contacts that BlackBerry could then leverage?
Oh, I don't. I mean, first of all, we have always been strong in the federal government and the Five Eyes country around the world. I don't think we should look at it from a political standpoint at all. I have strong respect for, especially our government. It's not about who you know; it's about the whole standard open process on the RFP. We tend to bid, and we bid aggressively. So it would not have any bearings to that.
Yeah, and we don't do any lobbying, and we've been in the cyber world now for probably 13 of our 16 years. So this is an ongoing business for us. It's not something that's new for us. We've worked with governments, government agencies, and we've worked with a lot of private corporations, I believe, on every continent. So this is not a question of any one particular agency and as I said, we don't do any lobbying of any kind.
Understood. I want to switch gears a little bit here, Mr. Giuliani, and ask you about the hearings that are taking place in Washington and get your thoughts there. The hearings indicate that senior intelligence officials in the U.S. believe Russia played a role in the election. This doesn't appear to be a partisan issue because you have Republicans saying that they believe that's the case as well. If it is proven that Russia did play a role, what should be the response from the new administration?
Well, look, hypotheticals are not good things to respond to. So let me put it this way. Cyber intrusion, cyber theft, cyber crime is the fastest growing form of crime. The director of the FBI, James Comey, says there are two types of companies in America. Those that have been hacked and know it, and those that have been hacked and don't know it. And the reality is this is becoming ubiquitous. And the reason companies and countries need us is because we can come in and we can tell you whether you have the best possible solutions. You may have solutions, but you may not have the best possible solutions. Second thing is you have to keep changing your solutions, because if you keep doing the same thing for 2 or 3 years, the hackers will figure out and they will get in. So all this whole dispute about the Russians and the Chinese, all it does is underscore the fact that we have fallen way behind in cyber defense. We're way ahead in cyber initiative, information gathering, information analysis, use of it for cars and whatever. Where we've fallen behind is it's like our defense has not been on the field. So we have to bring our defense up, and that's what BlackBerry, Giuliani Partners, and others that we hope to work with will be able to help us do.
I like the way you put that. We have to bring our defense up. Yet the CIA, the FBI, and our national intelligence agencies have assessed what they believe is hacking by the Russians. Why do you disagree with their conclusions?
I don't. I haven't seen their report, so I can't comment on it. These conclusions are always percentages. I've done a few of these, and these are percentages. What they will give you is the percent chance that it was, let's pick another country, that it was North Korea.
Right.
So I would want to look at that, and then I could give you an informed judgment on it. It's not a political issue, it's a technical issue.
Mr. Chen, let me put my question to you. What is your level of concern about cyber threats from foreign governments, even those that we may not have hostile relationships with?
I think very high, and we all know that. Just like Director Comey said, I never heard him said that, but I will quote him then. As the mayor said earlier, every company has been attacked, and I think that the attacker comes from all forms. Some of them a little bit friendlier than the other. I wouldn't say that we're not looking at each other's information. People are looking at our information. I expect that the other governments has been involved in this also.
Mr. Giuliani, do you believe the current administration did the right thing in announcing those sanctions last month?
I have to leave that to the discretion of the president. I'm not going to disagree with the president. I mean, he had the information. He acted on the information. I have no way of second guessing what he did, nor will I do that. But I do want to underscore what John said. Hacking is ubiquitous, meaning it's happening all the time. And you have to have defenses against it. It's also important to catch it early. For example, the hacking of OPM, where, 20 million identities were taken. They were in OPM for 10 months, 11 months, 12 months. That's why they were able to get millions of identities. Had they been caught in the second week or the third week or the fourth week or even the fifth week, you could have stopped it. We can do things like that. And that's why, that's what we're going to be trying to do. Not only stop it, but catch it early like cancer. If you catch it early, you have a much better chance at curing it and you don't lose 20 million identities.
Catching it early is critical, and the Wall Street Journal has reported that Donald Trump plans to overhaul the intelligence community. What kind of changes do you think need to be made so that our intelligence community can catch things earlier?
Well, I think the intelligence community is in need of an overhaul for obvious reasons. I mean, we've seen a lot of faulty intelligence. Now, that's a little unfair because intelligence is never 100%. But there's no reason why he shouldn't overhaul it. He's a new president. He should bring a new energy, a new spirit to it, a new way of doing it. And cyber defense has to be at the very core of it. But it's not the only thing. I mean, intelligence goes beyond just cyber.
Such as, could you elaborate?
Well, you need human contact. You need undercover operatives. You need information coming from villages and towns. And a lot of the information you collect electronically doesn't mean anything unless you know what's going on in that village, in that town. So the human element has to be, I think, restored to the intelligence community as well.
I'm glad you bring up the human element as well. I want to bring up Rex Tillerson with you, who of course is the nominee for the Secretary of State. Do you think Rex Tillerson's ties to Russia through his business dealings at Exxon Mobil should prevent him from becoming our next Secretary of State?
Of course not. I mean, Rex Tillerson has said, and I'm sure he'll say it under oath, which should satisfy all the senators, that the decisions that he makes as head of Exxon, just like the decision John makes as head of BlackBerry or I make as head of Giuliani Partners, have to be for the good of our stockholders, our shareholders, our partners. So those decisions are made for the good of the Exxon shareholders. Now he's going to be Secretary of State. He's going to make those decisions for the good of all of us. And I think if you take all the expertise that he has from dealing all around the world and his ability at negotiating, and you put it to work for us, that would certainly, I think, satisfy most of the senators who aren't voting on just a partisan basis.
Thank you
I think he's an excellent choice.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. John, let me get your final thoughts here as we wrap up our conversation. As the head of a large multinational, BlackBerry, incorporated in Canada, what do you think about a political leader such as President-elect Donald Trump intervening and directing companies on how to operate their businesses, whether it's not building factories somewhere or hiring more workers elsewhere or not merging? Is that good for business?
Well, I think every time the government put more regulations and directives into private sectors, it's never good. I rather have a more collaborative conversation, and it remains to be seen whether we could get to that point. So I'm hoping that the new president-elect will allow us to voice our opinion, and we could get to a common point rather than directing one direction versus another.
Is what he's doing collaborative, do you think, John Chen?
I think this is early on. I think there's a little bit of a shocking factor here in the beginning. I'm hoping that once he takes over after January 20th, we will be a little bit more collaborative. Maybe I would say that.
I've seen it happen. I saw it happen with the president of Mexico. I was with Donald Trump when he went down to Mexico. You know the issues with Mexico at the time about the wall and paying for the wall. The two of them had an hour and a half enormously productive conversation on the things that they can do together, helping on the southern border, dealing with some of the issues on trade with China. They were able to find common ground even though they disagreed. And what you have to know about Donald Trump is when you sit down and talk to him, this is a pure businessman. He wants to get things done. He wants to get them done in the right way. And I'm sure it's going to be a much, much better atmosphere for business in terms of less regulation, less intrusion than we've had over the last 8 years.